Entertalk Radio, you're in to all things music.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, everybody, it is Friday, and you are so super smart because you are tuned in to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media, the undisputed leader in music biz talk, and I am Scott, your host, and a man who would be happy to impeach himself if only I could get the key swing votes from the key people. Yeah, there you go. And with me is the unimpeachable, always unimpeachable, hard word to say, audio engineer and rock star down at Entertalk Central. That is the amazing Paul B. Paul, how are you?
I'm pretty good. You can try and impeach me, but I'm not going anywhere. You'll never get enough evidence.
You'll never get him. You'll be like Leonardo DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street. You'll be like,
yeah,
I'm not leaving.
I'm not leaving.
I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving this time. Well, cool. Well, you guys tuned into a good episode. So who am I? What do I do? That kind of fun stuff. So I'm Scott. I run a marketing agency called Robertson Communications in lovely Orange County, California. We help with brand messaging. We help with public relations. We, help companies kind of win at marketing and do it the right way. And the way to reach me is you can send me an email to scott@robertsoncom.com, 2 M's like communications. Or you can find us on Twitter at RobertsonCom, again, 2 M's, and or Facebook.com/RobertsonCom, 2 M's like communications. That's how you find me. Yay. Well, you are smart because you have tuned into episode 135 of the awesome program, and we're talking about getting fractional today. It's all the rage in the gig economy, fractional executives. And that's right. You too can purchase a fraction of a senior executive's time, tap into that expertise, and not actually have to invite that person to the holiday party. And so, hey, more booze for you and less healthcare benefits that you got to pay out. And returning with me on the show is senior marketing guru Seth Avergon of Avergon Marketing. How you doing, Seth?
Doing great.
Excellent. It's good to have you on the show. We're going to, Seth and I are going to discuss the idea of fractional marketing, of fractional marketing executives, or really any fractional executives, and why it can be the right choice for some organizations. And later we're going to tag team who's winning and losing, and we're going to finish the show off. Seth's going to give you some tips on when kind of going fractional might work for you. So without further ado, Seth, how long has this fractional thing been happening? Been going on?
Fractional work, which, let me be clear, is a fancy word for part-time, or as I like to refer to it, it's a part-time job with pretty much close to full-time responsibility. Fractional work really goes back to the late 80s, early 90s, but it had its heyday right around 2009 after the economic crash. And it started out with financial professionals, a lot of fractional CFOs, and then has expanded out since then. And now you see it with fractional chief marketing officers, even fractional vice presidents of sales. It really just blossomed out into a wider group since that beginning with the financial big professionals.
Yeah. So, how is this different from just, hiring a consultant or an agency to do some work? Where does the line kind of happen to where say, okay, this is now a fractional executive kind of thing, as opposed to just, I got myself a consultant?
Well, a fractional really is a consultant at the end of the day. Now, the big difference you're going to see is the level of engagement. A fractional CMO is going to really operate more like a member of your internal team. They're just someone who isn't there every day. They're going to be really engaged with your business. They're going to understand your needs. They're going to be working with you in that kind of fashion. And you're going to get a lot more out of them than an agency, which is a wonderful tactical tool, but they usually don't have the same depth of understanding of what's going on, what's keeping that organization up at night.
Right on. So this is like your, as opposed to having, an agency, this is somebody that's going to, take some ownership in being part of the team, the kind of the senior team of a company, right? So there's that level of engagement you're talking about.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, you're going to find the fractionals often managing the agency. So in my career, I was actually brought in by a company that had an agency and they weren't happy with the results they were getting. Well, it wasn't the agency's fault. The agency wasn't being managed properly. I was literally brought in as a fractional to get a better understanding for what the organization wanted to achieve, and then was able to communicate that to the agency, manage the agency's deliverables. So at the end of the day, everybody was happier. Even the agency was happier, and the client was happier.
That's so true. I mean, having a great person in-house is so important on the agency side of things. We can't be successful if we don't have somebody in the organization that is getting stuff done, that is getting us, the key assets that we need, that is getting us, access to information of what's going on with the company. And sometimes folks just, kind of hire an agency and kind of, like a fire and forget missile kind of thing, and it's, and it really is a relationship. So I could definitely see the advantages of even bringing in somebody, as a fractional chief marketing officer or something, just to get a handle on some of the agencies.
Right. So the important thing to remember about an agency is that an agency is like a baseball bat. In the right hands, it does tremendous things. It moves your, to your point, without a champion internally, it'll just break things, right? It's not going to get done what you want it to do.
Yeah, no kidding. So, all right. So why are companies liking this, and what are some of the main benefits?
Companies like it because it gives them access to talent they normally could not afford. Bottom line, they get access to talent that was normally outside something they would have access to, and they get to use them when and where they need them. So let's say you've got a product launch coming up or a new initiative coming down the pipe. You could bring in a fractional for the 6 months leading up to that launch to really work the issues and make sure you're ready for that launch. And then once the launch happens, you can start dialing them back, right? Bring the hours down to they become more of a consulting role and supportive role, until eventually they kind of work themselves out. But it's so much more nimble than having to have someone on full-time staff for that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are the main benefits?
For a company, well, one, it's going to fill a leadership gap. It's going to be more cost-effective for them. It's going to allow them to, as I stated, be more nimble. And it gives them that high-level strategic guidance that they did not have the ability to get at before.
Yeah, absolutely. Because even sometimes to hire a senior marketing person, you have to, have somebody, in the organization that knows something about marketing to even be able to do that, right? And some organizations don't, and I think that's the same for for all the the kind of fractional things. You hear about fractional a lot in terms of a chief financial officer too. I've run into that a bunch. People say, well, they market themselves as a fractional chief, financial officer. And so they go in and kind of, make sure that that not only the books are straight and some of that bookkeeping stuff, but they're actually kind of looking at the financial health of the company and that kind of thing. It's interesting. It's an interesting way to look at it. Certainly. It's not right for every company. I know, as you always say. So, what kinds of companies, don't really like it, or is it's not right for them because it has some problems?
There are some traditional organizations that really yearn for a high level of control over staff, and they have a fear about losing control, and it's not right for them. I would equate it to, going back a few years, some companies, the fear they had of people who were working remote hours or were remote workers, period, by their classification. And if you remember, in the beginning, there was this big concern over, my God, they're remote. We have no control over them. What's going to happen? And this is back when I was corporate. I first started using my remote days for when I needed to get the most work done, where I needed to really have the door closed and work on a marketing plan or a business development plan. I just needed to be undisturbed. So companies became used to that, right? Mm-hmm. And I think you're going to see some of the same things with organizations as they move into more comfortable, having less fear about having someone there that they don't own per se. They're there part-time.
Yeah, absolutely. So they and a lot of those are just kind of perception issues, right? So companies just have to sort of get used to the idea of it, because that whole idea that, this is some, I've heard that before. People say this is a marketing person you own. And it's like, well, maybe you do. And maybe they have their resume up on LinkedIn and they're going to leave you in 2 days. You know what I mean? And maybe you own them. I mean, do you really, you know what I mean? It's that there's not that sense of permanence, particularly in the marketing field. People move around quite frequently for some of those jobs. Were there any other problems that you wanted to talk about like that?
No, I think you really nailed it with the perception on it. That it once people kind of get used to the concept of fractional, it will be more accepted. But as someone who's worked fractionally, I will tell you, there are challenges in terms of controlling expectations with the client, right? Making sure hey, look, I'm here Monday and Wednesday. If you call me Tuesday night at 10 p.m., I'm not sure I'm going to be available for you. And that's just honesty and transparency on both sides. What do you need to get accomplished, sure, and planning for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So if companies can kind of get around that traditional workforce idea, there can be some great gains. So, so my next question, I want to talk about the gig economy in general, and recently has come under fire because here in our lovely and scenic state of California, because the governor signed a bill into law that was, really kind of the state of California waging war against companies like Uber and stuff like that, but has some kind of unintended consequences in some other areas. And this is a bill that's kind of designed to protect, freelancers by making sure that companies have to provide, health insurance and consider them full-time employees and that kind of stuff. But it could really end up costing people some work because companies can become very afraid of not making them a full-time employee, so I just wanted to, have a little bit of a conversation around that new law and around the idea of, legally, what a fractionals kind of look like as part of the workforce.
Right. Yeah. Assembly Bill 5 deals with how companies classify independent contractors. I guess now it's no longer Assembly Bill, now it's law. And there are a number of people who are concerned about it. So it is that much more important that fractionals are careful in maintaining and documenting a B2B relationship, which is what it is. Company A has engaged Company B, me, to do work on them to help grow their business. There's a scope of work, there's a beginning and an end date. It is not an employee. Fractionals are hired because they're experts at what they do. They just happen to be brought in as an independent contractor who's working executive level, but they're still an independent contractor. In terms of the state of California, we really need to monitor the situation, but as it stands right now, your fractional should be within the exclusions based on how it reads at the moment and how we view it.
Yeah, but some freelancers aren't, right? For example, in kind of the PR and journalism world, I read a story this week that said that that media outlets can only hire freelancers to do freelance media work if they submit 35 or fewer stories per year. If they submit 36, then the state of California is going to go after those people and say, now they've drawn this line or whatever, and now that has to be a full-time employee, right? And of course, there's so much money in the media side of things. We've only lost 2/3 of the amount of journalists in this country in the last 20 years, so it's like, that's really some unintended consequences that's going to hurt a lot of my friends that are freelance journalists. I know they were talking about that quite a bit. I was in an event in New York, and they were talking about the California law, and as California goes, sometimes so goes the world. They were talking about their fears about that becoming national. But it is kind of interesting. Because a fractional is kind of a step, if I'm hearing you right, a fractional executive is going to be like a step above a freelancer in the sense that, the work's at a higher level, it's invoiced, like you said, there's like a start and an end date. It's, and so it's, would be harder for a state like California to make an employment law case against somebody for using fractional. Is that your understanding of it?
Yeah, and the other thing I should mention is most of your fractionals are going to have corporate entities. I have a corporate entity set up. So there is that level of, look, I'm not just a freelancer. I have a company. This is what I do. As you said, I invoice. I pay taxes. The state is getting their money out of me one way or the other, right?
Exactly. Yeah, they're doing fine. Well, cool. So we got a couple minutes left. I wanted to talk about, where do you think the fractional executive work is headed? Will there be more of it? Is there less of it? And not just in California, but nationwide, worldwide. Does it have a big future, out there, or what's your perspective on that?
I think it's only going to grow. It just provides far too much benefit to these small and medium-sized businesses that are looking for tools to succeed. And a fractional is one of those tools. They need access to talent. They need access to expertise, and this gives them a way to get it without the high cost of a full-time employee or the commitment. Even beyond that, even if a company is considering a full-time hire at one point in the future, the fractional model gives them an opportunity to try that individual out and see how they gel with the culture. So you can do your interviews, you can do your assessments, but until you have that person in the company working with you, it's a bit of a crapshoot to see if they're really going to gel with the rest of the team.
That's true. And having hired a lot of people on the corporate side too, man, you never know, because marketing people sometimes are kind of good at the BS, right? And then they can talk themselves into some jobs, and then you have to put their skill set to the test, and you're like, oh no, you can't write a sentence in English? What the hell's the matter with you? Know what I mean? So we've all kind of had those situations where you're like, oh no, now I've hired this person, then I realize they can't write at all. How did this happen? That kind of thing. Oh man, so, it's interesting.
Yeah.
So we got about 15 seconds left, but just to kind of summarize kind of what we've been talking about here. So we're talking about fractional executives. We're saying it's the right thing to do if you have a bit of a open mind, about where your talent can come from, and it can be a pretty exciting thing. And another exciting thing is that we're at a break. So stay tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. Come on back, and Seth and I are going to tell you who's winning and losing this week. We'll see you in a few.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time, or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Entertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EntertalkRadio.com.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey everybody, it is Friday, and you are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I'm Scott, your host, hanging out with Seth Avergon from Avergon Marketing. Seth, we've been talking about fractional executives and just the idea of fractional marketing executives. And stick around for segment 3 because Seth's going to come back and give you some tips for when you want to think about bringing in a fractional chief marketing officer or a fractional VP of marketing. So that's going to be exciting. How's it going, Seth? You having fun?
I'm having a great time.
Awesome.
It's Friday.
Awesome. It's Friday. I mean, of course, it's the best. It's the best. So let's talk about who's winning and losing this week, as we traditionally do in segment 2 here on the show. I'm going to start off with let's start off with Yahoo. So Yahoo has a new logo again. Their old logo is not super old. The redo of the last logo, but so now the logo is. I always find logo study fascinating. I have to say, because it's designed to mean something. It's designed to communicate something. And Yahoo's new logo is sort of on a field of purple. If you want to check it out, lots of people covered it, but Fast Company covered it this week. You could see the logo for yourself right there. So it's all lowercase with kind of a italic exclamation point there, and basically it's very. They first updated the old logo. It says in the story from 2009. They flattened it. They kind of went purple. It was red before then, if you are old enough to remember that. And then it got a little bit of a makeover. And now for the third time in 10 years, Yahoo rebranded again with design firm Pentagram, who does a lot of really cool stuff, despite being named for the symbol for Satan. What do you so Seth, what do you think of the new Yahoo logo? And to me, the piece that's missing of this is sort of like why. But I don't know. That's I'm always kind of like, yeah, but what does it mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it. Which is okay. You have my attention. What are you doing with this? What content, what new applications, what new services are you bringing online that you so desperately needed to get my attention that you're rebranding? Because the concept behind any type of logo refresh or rebrand is that, okay, the market has changed. We need to address the market. Okay, great. You have my attention. What have you done besides refresh the colors? And that's the part that's kind of missing from the Fast Company article, or where I was reading, like, okay, we can talk about fonts, but where are we going from here?
We could talk about fonts. You know what's interesting about Yahoo to me is, obviously they lost all their market share to Google, a long time ago, but they've still kind of hung around. They've still kind of been, not even known so much as a search engine anymore. The way I know Yahoo is my fantasy football league is built on Yahoo's app or platform for fantasy football because they have a nice engine for it. It's free, which appeals to the cheapness in me, and they do a decent job with it. And also Yahoo Finance has some interesting news. But but like you said, none of that really like translates into okay. But what so why are we like you said, why are we rebranding now? Because now it just changes the logo on my fantasy football app, I guess. I don't know. It's just it's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm a message guy, and so I'm always and I think this is a big problem in the marketing industry is that whenever someone wants to rebrand, they go talk to a designer. But designers kind of need people like me, need people like you too, Seth, need people that can figure out the strategy and the message before you kind of put pen to paper and start coloring with colored pencils, right? Because we can make that stuff have meaning. that we can explain in words that people understand, and stuff like that. And I don't know. That's all I want to say about that.
I think you got it. Otherwise, it becomes, and this is every consumer's worst fear, right? Is that it's going to be same old stuff in a new box.
Yeah.
Right. And who cares? Yeah.
All right, we'll move on. We'll say Yahoo's. I think I'd say losing because they missed an opportunity to explain why. And if you're gonna like we've talked about, if you're gonna rebrand, you're gonna pay a big agency like Pentagram a bunch of money. You better damn well have a message to go with it, and they don't. They just have lowercase and a pretty font now. Let's talk about Amazon. Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I'll say go ahead, Seth.
No, I said all they just did is pay money to Pentagram, which I guess you've associated with the Church of Satan, so I'm not sure that's a good spend.
I always look at that and I'm like, I'm sorry. Our brand is based on the symbol for the Church of the Devil? Really? That's the plan? That's the plan. I mean, that's not going to fly in Alabama, Jack. I'll tell you what. Well, who do we got doing the new church logo? Well, we got Pentagram coming up. Well, holy shit, Pentagram. That's what the devil uses. You know what I mean? It's not going to fly in Alabama. That's what I say. All right, let's talk about Amazon. So an Amazon executive was promoting the new Echo Buds, their new wireless buds, in a TV interview this week. And during the interview, he was wearing Apple's AirPods. and lots of people, including cultofmac.com, all the Mac media jumped on this and said, wait a minute, you are launching new buds that are compete with AirPods, and you're wearing our product during your TV interview about your new. They just went to town on it. So this is losing a lot of levels. This is one of those things that if it happens to you and you're on the PR staff, you're just hanging your head, right? Because you're just like, we missed a detail. Kind of like when Game of Thrones had a bottle of water under the table, and they're shooting the Game of Thrones, and there's like a plastic bottle of water in the shot. There's nothing you can do at that point. You're just like, yeah, we did that. We're stupid. So what do you think?
Yeah, no, it's human, but you're right. It's a lose. It's a lose, and somebody should have caught it. He should have picked it up, but I get it. They're going a mile a minute, and yeah, that hurts.
It does hurt, man. And the media just piled on that too. I mean, it was just, especially the Mac media. It wasn't so much the like Mashables and folks of the world, but boy, like the cult of Mac side of things and those kind of things, they went off on that. Absolutely. Oh man. Maybe we should talk about Amazon for a second while we're talking. So Amazon had a big event this week. You saw some coverage from it. CNET covered a lot of tech things where they talked about bringing Alexa to a lot of different things like glasses and rings, and they're going to bring in Samuel L. Jackson, which I think is brilliant, by the way. But without addressing, what I feel like is the key thing about Alexa is the fact that they have recently been busted publicly for listening to everybody's private conversations in their homes and things like that. And they really haven't said much about that. Even though, as the story in CNET says Alexa has a lot of explaining to do. You basically, Amazon has convinced millions of people to bug their homes with their gear. They listen to your conversations all the time. They transcribe it. They've been busted. 100 different stories have appeared about that, kind of thing. And then they go forward with a big PR event. They unveil a bunch of different new Alexa-powered devices and all this kind of stuff without attacking the elephant in the room, which is you're a bunch of creepy bastards who are listening to our calls, and I just kind of shake my head. I'm like, does no one at this company do public relations professionally for a living? Nobody thinks that's something that we should discuss, and that sort of thing. I mean, it blows me away. And the media, said what you expect the media to say. They say, yeah, great hardware, but we have serious doubts about this company's ethics, morals. Those kind of things. What do you think, Seth?
I'm on the fence on that one, and I'll tell you why. Well, one, there's this battle in the consumer's mind, right, between convenience versus security, and the device is so convenient. It's like, okay, so all right, it listens every now and then, and it looks like Amazon has been using this to their point. The transcribers are looking at places where the device isn't figuring out what people are saying to help it learn. So it is being done not so much from it's coming off as they're peeping in on you, but they're trying to teach the device to be more efficient. So I don't know. I'll answer this one. I don't think the devices are going away. I think it's just going to keep expanding. But I to your point, they got concerns. I mean, there is. When is that breaking point where the consumer is going to say, "I've had enough"? Right?
Yeah. I love the fact that they have Samuel L. Jackson as Alexa's voice. To me, that would be, I would not intentionally bug my home with an Alexa device under any circumstances because I don't trust anybody and I have all kinds of privacy concerns, period. But being in marketing, just as it goes with the territory. But, I would love to go to somebody's house and have them have Samuel L. Jackson thing and just listen to that thing kind of curse at me, various different ways. I think that would be hysterically funny.
That's my big question because it didn't address it. Will he be cursing? Because if he's not, not cursing, it's not quite as fun, right?
No, they said that he recorded all the good words, and he absolutely will be. There's a setting for the Samuel L. Jackson thing, and you can set it to be like full Samuel L. Jackson and like not full Samuel L. Jackson. But if you set it for the full one, then he will creatively use. The very colorful language that Samuel L. Jackson is very known for.
That's good. Because if you're going to go Samuel Jackson, you don't go half Samuel Jackson. You go all in.
You go full, man. Yeah, it's like Alexa, tell me what time the movie starts. You want me to tell you what time the movie starts? What the hell is the matter with you anyway? That would just be. It would just be awesome to be berated by Samuel L. Jackson. Hey, don't let that go to your head. It would just be awesome. But then, of course, there's people giggling with you at some little cubicle in Seattle going, I was told to write down everything that Scott said. I was told to write down all of his conversations about Samuel L. Jackson. And that's going to happen. So, all right, well, cool. So we've covered Amazon. That's all good. Let's move to Burger King for a second. Burger King, which I feel has some of the most innovative marketing in the fast food space. We consistently talk about them on the show as winners. Some of the things that they do are just exceptionally well done, and this is no exception. Fast food giant Burger King launched a campaign called "A Day Without Whopper," where they stopped selling their top selling product, the Whopper burger, for a day to increase sales of McDonald's. Now, why would they do that? They did that because they wanted to help McDonald's with their fundraising campaign to donate money to children with cancer for every Big Mac that they sell. Genius. Absolute genius in the sense of, there's so much that is good about this approach. We could almost do an entire segment about it, but I say that, they are so good when it comes to maximizing themselves kind of versus their competitors. And McDonald's is sort of famously known for not responding to anything that anybody else does, but they responded to this, which was interesting. I don't know, Seth, what was your feeling on the whole Day Without Whopper campaign and what they were doing with that?
Big win. Anytime you as a brand give a chance, have an opportunity to present your brand and give it a heart and give it some emotion, I looked at the campaign and went, oh, wow. And I'm not a fan of Burger King. I don't normally go there, but I'm like, sure. Wow, that's these guys care. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge win. Awesome. And people wonder kind of like they say, all the good ideas, sort of have been taken. It's like, this is just really good outside the box kind of thinking, about, how to position yourself, sort of in the marketplace along with your competitor. And sometimes, doing something to help your competitor can sort of help both of you, in sort of a really powerful way. So I big win. I totally agree with it. So Oh man, let's running out of time to get through everything. Like I said, there's so much, but let's talk about the FTC for a second. Let's talk about Match.com or Match or whatever. They got busted this week for the FTC. You know them. They wear dark suits. They have no sense of humor. They basically sued Match for allegedly tricking users with fake ads. So Match, which also operates the dating platforms Tinder, Hinge, OkCupid, and other dating sites, basically said, FTC said Match found 500,000 subscriptions that were purchased within 24 hours of receiving an advertisement touting fraudulent communication between June 2016 and May 2018. So basically what they're accusing them of is creating fake profiles and sort of catfishing 500,000 people with people that don't actually exist on this planet or anywhere, any planet, really, not just to make an Earth thing, but these people don't exist. They're completely fake profiles. And Match, of course, they came out with the standard law-driven PR thing that said the FTC got it wrong and they misrepresented our internal emails and blah, 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 and they relied on cherry-picked data. But, the FTC doesn't have like what I would call a huge imagination, and thus it is difficult to me to imagine them cooking up a scheme that it's easier for me to imagine Match doing this to make money than the FTC to make stuff up to just sue people, because the FTC only gets involved when there's public outcry. They honestly don't care. They're like the DMV of claims like this. They're like, crap, we got to go investigate. We got to go, you know what I mean? I don't know, Seth. We've got about 45 seconds left, but what were your thoughts on Match?
Yeah, they're a big loser this week, and this has been a concern, a fear for a lot of people who play on those dating apps. Like, that's not a real person, that's a model. Who are you trying to kid here? So this just played into those fears. So it's a win for the FTC and definitely a big lose for Match. People have suspected this for a while.
I didn't know until I read the story. I didn't know that Match runs Tinder. I did not know that the swipe left, swipe right kind of famous kind of that's also Match.com. Did you know that?
I did not, but it makes sense. They've got, it's a different flavor. Do you want a couple of month relationship, or you want something for the evening? They've got all your tastes covered.
I know, right? You learn all kinds of new things. You run into stuff and you're like, I had no idea that company owned that company and that kind of thing. It's crazy. Well, you know what else is crazy? We're at a break, and you are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. Come on back, and Seth is going to give you some of his tips as to when to get fractional with your marketing.
I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Entertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EntertalkRadio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, everybody. It is Friday. You are smart because you are tuned in to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am Scott, your host. We're hanging out here with Seth Avergon from Avergon Marketing, and we just talked about who was winning and losing. How you doing, Seth?
I'm doing great.
Fantastic. And there was one story I didn't get to. I want to, before we get into Seth's tips, it's segment 3, so rightfully we need to give you guys some tips about the topic for today. But before I do that, I want to talk about this story, which I feel like just needs to be discussed. And basically, the idea, today's show did a segment this week on the idea of cow cuddling. Basically saying that people are so stressed out these days that they need a warm, friendly creature to hug. And they said that cows can offer 1,000 pounds of affection. They're not dogs, cats, or even horses, but cows, part of the cow cuddling experience at the Mountain Horse Farm in Naples, New York. It's got a lot of coverage recently. People, they're, you know, so we're going to spend just a couple minutes just talking about cow cuddling for a second, because the first thing I want to say about it is I posted this on Facebook, and I come from rural Missouri, and a bunch of my and I asked the question, just kind of I didn't expect to get any answers, but I asked the question. I said, "Has anyone cuddled a cow?" And then lots of people from my network in Missouri said, "Oh yeah, cows are great to cuddle." And then I was like, good Lord, where are we headed? Where are we headed? Greta Thunberg had it right. There is a mass extinction coming. Anyway, what do you think about cow cuddling?
I think that's wonderful. Does it come with a complimentary glass of milk? Is that part of the service?
It should. It definitely should. You know, cows, and I, you know, like I said, I grew up in rural Missouri, and so, you know, cows were around. I never cuddled one. They don't smell great. They smell awful. But my recollection is that, you know, cows don't smell good, and so you're gonna cuddle a big 1,000-pound stinky animal. I mean. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know whether to put that in winning or losing, or just like society is at a breaking point, a point that we may not make it from. I'm sure Paul wants to comment on cow cuddling. Paul, what do you got? You out there, Paul? Paul's probably asleep.
Sorry. I was cuddling with a cow as we speak, and I just got so lulled. There she is. That's Betsy.
Nice.
Say hello, Betsy.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm even more frightened the UFS cow cuddling sound effect. Oh man.
She is a little cranky about being disturbed also. We were having a nice moment before you guys interrupted us.
Nice. All right, let's get back to it. So this on today's show, we've been talking about cuddling cows and getting fractional with your marketing, and that means so we've got Seth here. Seth is going to give us some good tips of when it might be the right time to think about bringing in your fractional chief marketing officer or your fractional VP of marketing. So Seth, what do you got for us first?
So when a company knows that they need to invest in marketing for long-term growth, they understand that, but they don't know what they need to do. That's that first time you say, okay, it's time to look at bringing in a fractional, somebody who can help us figure out what that strategy is going to be and what the tactical side of it's going to be as well. But most companies, they start out bootstrapping it, right? They've been doing it the way they've been doing it for so long, and that's fine. That's how you grow. But you get to a place as you're evolving that you're not going to get to that next step. You're not going to get that next phase in growth without some help. And this is where the fractionals come in.
Who's likely to identify that in a company? Do you find it's the owner? Is it coming from the financial side? I mean, does the financial guy, let's say they have a CFO and a CEO, they're just sitting around and saying, we're not growing. And then, we need some ideas, that kind of thing. In your experience, where does that come from?
It's usually the CEO. It's usually the CEO who's feeling the pain of, I know I need to grow. I don't know what to do. It's a good spend or a bad spend, marketing wise, right? They just don't know. So that it's what's keeping them up at night. Usually not the CFO. It's the COO gives me the call.
Yeah, CEO, COO, kind of thing. They give you the call and say, hey, we're the next place. We want to get to the next level. We're going to need somebody like you, Seth, to come in and show us how to get to the next level. Yeah, I can see that. That's interesting.
And there are a few more signs that you need a fractional. So, like I said, that first one is always, hey, we know we need to invest. We don't know what to do. You might notice we don't have a marketing plan, or they don't have a business plan. That's another sign you need to bring of some sort. You might look around your organization and say, we don't have any marketing talent here above a coordinator or even a marketing manager level. Well, that's a sign you're not going to have that type of strategic. You're not going to have a 3-year plan. You're not going to have a 5-year plan because that's not their talent. And you don't have somebody on your executive team who's taking ownership for that, right? Who's saying, okay, here's our 3-year plan for growth. This is what it looks like, and these are the things we're going to need to get done in order to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And how does that interface with sales? And obviously, sales and marketing, kind of two sides of the of the coin. What role does sales have, in that?
Well, you said it perfectly. Sales and marketing are two sides of the same coin. So, sales is responsible for short-term growth, right? And also for giving feedback and information on what's happening in the field. Marketing is responsible for long-term growth, and then also taking that information coming back from sales and the right programs, the right initiatives that are going to continue to help grow the company.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do CEOs recognize when they don't have a marketing plan or a business plan? Do you find that they recognize that or not?
Usually I have to ask, and it's a warning sign, right? They'll say, okay, I'll see a couple of different scenarios out there. Scenario one is, no, we've never done a business plan or a marketing plan, or we did a marketing plan. We did it like 6 years ago. Boy, was that a good exercise, and they haven't touched it since then. It's one of those things where you kind of often when you get the call, when I get the call, I'm being called in on a tactical issue. We need a social media plan. We need a PR plan. We need this type of initiative. We need a new website. And I'm usually stopping and say, well, okay, let's look at the marketing plan and see how that matches up with your messaging and everything you're doing. And like, we've never done a marketing plan. We don't actually have any key messaging. I'm like, okay, I'm starting to see the problem here. And then you kind of bring them back to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember I responded to a request for a proposal for a trade association recently, and they said, and the board wanted them to do an audit of all of their communications, right? And the guy that was in the communications seat, had to run the RFP process, which is sort of like letting somebody, pick out the firing squad for their own execution. I like this guy. He's got a bad aim. Let's use him. I like this guy. His gun always misfires. You know what I'm saying? It's a complete, and I was the only person in the process that mentioned this. I go, this exercise is completely stupid. and there's a couple reasons why I go, but here's the main reasons why I'll say stupid. I go, one is that you, the communications person, don't see a problem with what's going on. Is that right? And he goes, yeah, that's right. I said, the board sees a problem with what you're doing. Right. I go, so instead of having a direct conversation between the two of you about, and coming to an understanding, which would be like the quick, efficient way to do it, you're going to bring in a bunch of other agencies and have them consider all these different things, which you're going to shoot down because you hate the fact that they're doing it in the first place. I said, and you have this, you want to solve an internal power play issue with an external process for marketing. I said, which is dumb beyond dumb I've ever heard in my life. And, and the guy was just kind of laughing. He goes, you're the only person in this whole process that's noticed that. And I go, what you need, I go, you need to make sure that the board, signs off on your marketing plan. Exactly the same kind of things that you're talking about. It's just like, it's amazing the soup that people can get themselves stuck in and try to drag other people into, it's just, it completely stuns me. And then, so I kind of worked with him kind of privately. I said, what you should do, you should hire a consultant that you're comfortable with. I said, and then you should figure out a way that you can kind of manage this board of directors situation. I said, without having to, bring in another bunch of agencies who are going to get all excited and say, you should do this, you should do this. I said, and you're going to shoot down all of that. Am I right? No matter what it is. And he goes, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to shoot down. He goes, I don't care what it is. I'm going to shoot all this down and say that it's. I said, so the agency at the end of the day is going to. There's no way for them to succeed. There's no way for the board to succeed. There's no way for you to succeed. I go, so what you need to solve the problem that's actually there, which is a political problem between you and the board of directors that you need to figure out. That kind of thing. Some companies need like more of a Dr. Phil than they need us. They need like a, hey, get in the room with the board and figure out what the hell is going on over here. It's just, they need a therapist.
Well, that's kind of half of what I do, frankly. I mean, there is the work in terms of projects and initiatives, but often I'm playing therapist, with the C-level suite in terms of getting them to understand. And because let's face it, what I do is not their forte, right? They're good at what the CEO, the COO, the CFO, they're good at what they do. But this is outside their area of expertise. So all of a sudden they're trying to get involved in this. And your example is perfect. They've got a really, really bad idea of how to solve that problem.
Really bad. Yeah. They were asking me as an agency, do you want this assignment? I go, let's see, an assignment to where no matter what I suggest to the board of directors and they love, you're going to hate? Yeah. Oh, sign me up. What do I sign for that? That sounds great. What does Stephen Covey call that? Lose some more? I mean, there's like 3 loses in the box. That's the only documented marketing example of a lose situation. Everybody in that situation loses. There's no way to win. Oh, that's pretty fun. Well, cool. You got another tip for us. I know that. So why don't you hit us with that?
Yeah. So I would say, I think I mentioned the last one, which was in terms of having someone.
You're cutting out just a little bit. You there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. You're back. Okay. So give us that last tip, would you, Seth?
So, in terms of developing out the plan, you need to be looking at your organization saying, look, you need someone with the right background to develop your marketing plan and calculate anybody outside the C-suite. So if you're looking at doing that, bring in a fractional to do it. Don't try to take on, as you beautifully illustrated, don't try to take on tasks outside your core competency. Bring in a specialist to handle that. Developing your marketing plan, calculating your marketing spend, that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it makes perfect sense, for the right organizations to, and business is good for you, right? I mean, your people are seeking you out. They're valuing your counsel. You're doing exactly the stuff that you want to be doing, which is great when probably not having to do some of the stuff that you don't want to do.
Yeah, I love the work. I really do. I mean, I was a corporate guy for the first half of my career, and this is a lot more fun, and it's a lot more effective. You know, I get in. There is no corporate politics. There is no talking around the water cooler. There is the work, and you hop in there and you get it done. And you know, I can replicate successes because when I walk into an organization, I evaluate them initially and say, okay, this is a problem I can solve before I even take it on. This is a problem I can solve, and then I get in there and just do what needs doing.
Do you find that kind of being an outsider sometimes and like not being invited to the company picnic and that sort of things kind of gives you some freedom to, to do a little bit more truth telling and some things that would be politically dangerous if you were inside an organization and had to worry about, you know, somebody might steal your lunch out of the refrigerator or stuff like that if you criticize their work?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I've got teeth, and I'm there. I'm there to make trouble. They know that. I'm a professional instigator. I mean, let's face it. You know, I had a client. I was sitting across the table from me the other day, and I said, "Are you uncomfortable?" He said, "Well, a little." I said, "Good, because I want you a little uncomfortable because you're not going to grow unless you're a little uncomfortable. I don't want you losing sleep, but I want you a little uncomfortable. We're going to be out there. We're going to be pushing it a bit." And to say that as an employee, you know, they show you the door if you said that to them. But I'm in a position where I get to do that.
Yeah, I was known, I did my job really well at NAMM, but I was known as like the brand police, and people would avoid me because I always had to shut things down. And I was like, and I'm a fun guy. I'm a bass player. I play in a band all the time. I mean, you know, I'm a fun guy with a good sense of humor, but you know, the job is sometimes the police department and the conscience of the organization. And it's not the most fun guy to come see you. You know, the second least fun will probably be human resources, but but then you've got Scott, the brand police, coming through. You know what I mean? It's easier to do that outside. Yeah, exactly. People would steal my lunch all the time, and that kind of thing. Oh man, it's crazy. But I find that same thing. By the way, by being outside the organization, if somebody has a dumb idea, I can say that's a really dumb idea. I go and they were like, well, the president's or the CEO's daughter came up with it, and I said, well, then she should stick to her day job. You know, she should stick to something else because we're in the business of not ending up on the losing side of the coin here. You know, and I just think there's too few people doing that work for us. You know, we got 30 seconds left. I'm going to wrap it up. So what have we learned, class? We learned it's a big old fractional world out there, and that can be good or bad for organizations depending on how they want to use the fractional executives of the world. I really want to thank my guest, Seth Avergon of Avergon Marketing, one more time. Seth, how do people get in touch with you if they want to bring you in to be fractional?
Best way to get a hold of me is you can reach me on my website, which is avergonmarketing.com. That's A as in alpha, V as in victory, ERGON, marketing.com.
Fantastic. Thanks again, Seth. And that's all from me. We'll see you next week, class. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye. You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Entertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Dimiola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?